right, John, I'm going to hit you with my standard off-season question. We've had these discussions for several years now. And sure, when I'm talking to the LSU and the Alabama and the Ohio State and USC bloggers, this is not a fun question. It's not interesting to me because they are gunning for national championships each and every year. They have reason to think that. I just got off with an Arkansas blogger, South Carolina, some other programs where there's reason to have hope. There's also a number of challenges. Syracuse in a similar situation for different reasons. And just your thought about where Dino Babers has this program and what is reasonable to expect for 2018 and beyond.
I think he has this program on the way up. I think the schedule is just going to be kind of it's going to be the line of whether or not he's able to get this team back to a bowl game. I mean, whether you want to look at the last two seasons positively or negatively, especially last year, like had some close losses against some good teams. The Clemson win, the Virginia Tech win in 2016 show you what this team's capable of when it's firing on all cylinders. So, I mean, I'm optimistic that we can get to 6-6 this year, but it's going to take Dungy being healthy for a full season. It's going to take this defense taking some, actual steps forward. Last year we took steps forward for the first probably 2/3 of the year, and then things kind of came undone in those last four. If we can get a much better defensive effort, even I'd say even a marginally better, let's say 10% better defensive effort this year, and a healthy Dungy, I think we've got a shot. It just really depends on that really difficult schedule. There's only 2 games I'd say that are going to be should wins: UConn, and then whoever our FCS team is this year. I think it's Wagner. Oh yeah, it's Wagner. Those are our should wins, and then everybody else, if you want to look at like Bill Connolly's S&P Plus, like all those teams are top 50. Even your maybe quote unquote lesser teams like BC, Wake, who replaces a couple of big pieces. NC State is going to replace a ton on that really good defense from last year. North Carolina, there's no way they're going to be as injured as they were last year. Those are all going to be tough games, and we're going to have, for the last 3 or 4 years, what's defined the struggle for us is, we've lost all those toss-ups. Or almost all of those toss-ups. So if we can find a way to even split them, hopefully we're bowling again.
Of course, what everyone takes from the 2017 season is the big upset at home against Clemson. In addition to that, both before and after that game, I was impressed with the way this team was progressing. Now, I didn't see the games down the stretch against Wake Forest, Louisville, and Boston College, getting trounced 64-42, 56-10, 42-14. But prior to that, even taking the Clemson game into consideration with the Kelly Bryant injury, you beat one of the most talented teams in the country at home. The LSU game, as you well know, down 2, LSU had the ball. You couldn't get it away from them late in the game to get a final drive to try to win that game. But to play that team with that much talent, that close in Death Valley. The North Carolina State game was a 1-score game. That was an extremely competitive game. The Florida State game, a 3-point game. And of course, the Noles had their issues in 2017, but still have as much talent as practically anyone in the country. So I just thought against some really good teams, North Carolina State, a legit top 15 to 20 team, same with LSU, that Syracuse, until maybe wearing down the stretch, and you'll have to explain that to us, they were in against some of the better teams in the country.
I mean, I think the biggest part is going to be the Dungy injury. I know he doesn't play both sides, but Dungy didn't play the last 3, which just kind of helps derail things. He definitely wasn't healthy against Florida State, and we still had a chance to win that game in the final seconds. The frustrating part is on defense. There were injuries over there that didn't really get the same amount of press. Jordan Martin, who was a transfer from Toledo, played corner there for a few years, came over to us, actually transitioned to safety, a position he'd never played, and was really a great lockdown guy and helped kind of cover over the top where we hadn't had anyone doing that since probably Shamarko Thomas way back years ago. So having guys like that get injured, having our defensive line really banged up all season, all of that kind of took its toll. I think we've, as a group, at least on the site, have been trying to figure out what exactly happened in those final few games. Something was figured out by opposing offenses. You saw in the first half of the Wake game, we got lit up a little bit, and then we kind of adjusted. We were still up several scores going into the half. And then after that, I mean, Wake just did whatever they wanted. And that was kind of the end of our season. You hope that wasn't the writing on the wall, but you kind of knew with no Junji and a defense that was able to kind of give up 42 points in half or so. Things were headed south, unfortunately. And as a Syracuse fan who's well versed in these things, you can't deny when the truth's about to hit you right in the face.
Yeah. Well, not that anybody should be giving up 64 points to anyone, but I don't know that any of us realized the type of talent that Wake Forest had on offense until their bowl game against Texas A&M, and they put up 55 points against a pretty good SEC defense. And John Wolford turned out to be one of the top 15 or 20 quarterbacks in the nation. And I heard a stat where Wake over the past few years has improved from like worse 100 plus offensive efficiency, pass efficiency, to one of the top 12 to 15 pass efficiency offenses in college football. So Wake, very underrated and certainly proved to be very good. And I failed to mention the Miami game, as I had earlier, a team that was perfect at home and demolished the likes of Virginia Tech and Notre Dame. And that was a very competitive game. Remember watching that wire to wire with like 3 to 4 minutes left. The Cuse was right there to try to pull off the upset and lost by 8. So.
Yeah, defense actually kept us in that one, surprisingly.
All right, John Casillo, Noon's Magician is the site on SB Nation, and please join him and the rest of the staff right there. Obviously, it's basketball season heading toward March Madness, and we talk football right here. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel for the very best in college football analysis. John, we appreciate the time.
Of course. Thanks, Mark.